Hello, everyone, and welcome to Breathe Motivation. My name is Anthony Hester. I'm the host and founder of Breathe Motivation. So glad you guys could join us today. This is episode 100. Woohoo, man! 100 episodes. That's a pretty big deal, I think. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it to that 100 episode, but I made it, and we're going to continue blazing a trail for you guys, helping you guys find your purpose and passion in everything you do on a day-to-day basis. That's what we're all about here at Breathe Motivation. And thank you guys for being with us for 100 episodes if you've been since day one. And if you haven't, thank you for joining us on our journey. And hopefully you guys are getting some value out of this and making your lives better. You're on your way to finding your purpose and passion, because that's something I dealt with myself for years. And, I'm 29 years old, and I didn't quite figure it out until probably, I think I read that letter to you guys. It was dated 2013. So that was really my kind of awakening to who I am and my purpose and passion, and really finding my way to you. So if you didn't hear that letter to myself, you can listen to episode 99, which was yesterday. So we'll go ahead and recap yesterday. We won't take too long on it, but vulnerability is a big thing for us to really, understand, because I think sometimes vulnerability is looked at as a weakness. And I want you guys to know that it's okay to be open, and it's okay to allow people into your life and understand who you are. That's how we create relationships, right? And that's how we get better for ourselves. We've got to be able to be open. And I struggle with that forever. And I was so afraid to be open with people and understanding, who I was. And that really kept me back from, being better, So I would recommend you guys being vulnerable, being open to people, sharing your story with people, because, a lot of people have gone through very similar things. And that's why I started Breathe Motivation, was because, man, I wish I had this thing, 10 years ago, right? When I was trying to figure out my life and figure out what my purpose was. I kind of had an idea of what it was, but I wasn't confident in that. So that's where it's at. So today we are going to talk about reliability. So are you reliable? You got to be able to answer that question. I know that was something I struggled with when I was going through depression and anxiety, because I never knew what the hell I was going to feel like the next day or the day after day, right? So I had to really take a hold of myself and say, hey, man, you got to get it together. You got to focus. You got to, you are so smart and you're so confident. You got to be confident and get back to your life. Don't let fear, anxiety, depression run your life, right? I think that was important for me to understand. So that helped me become a more reliable person, because I could be reliable to myself first and then reliable to other people. So let's start off with the definition. So the definition for today is reliable. So a person or thing with trustworthy qualities. Now, I felt like I was always reliable growing up, and almost too reliable. It's crazy, and some of you guys maybe deal with this yourselves. But when I was younger, and in my early teens, and I kind of shared some insight. I felt like I had to grow up and mature a little bit quicker than most that were in high school and all of that. But it made me who I am today, and I'm thankful for it. But when I look at it, I was so reliable for, I felt like I was reliable for my brother. I was reliable for, my mom. I was reliable for a lot of things, right? So it's important for us to understand that, you shouldn't be too, too reliable. I hate saying that, too reliable. And it kind of sounds kind of weird, but, I was so reliable that everybody kind of took advantage of me, right? So anytime anybody would call, I would say yes. Right? I was like, yes, man. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie by Jim Carrey. If you haven't, it's pretty funny. I like it. It was kind of an eye opener for me, and kind of, brought me to this, kind of path. So, it'd be a good movie if you struggle with that. But I was always saying yes to everybody. And I was now, and at that point, it was so draining and so taxing for me that I had to really kind of come to grips with, man, I can't do everything. I am human. I am not Superman. I like to think I'm Superman and have all these superpowers, but man, that's not me. I lost myself in, almost being too reliable. So I wanted to kind of give you guys some insight of being a reliable person and what that means, or, what are the characteristics of people that are reliable, and things to show reliability without sacrificing you or sacrificing who you are and your beliefs, right? So reliable people, and this is how I look at it now, reliable people have freedom. So I'm not having to worry about, my friends or my family, saying, oh, I can't trust Anthony to do anything, or even at work, right? I can't trust Anthony to do this. I know I'm going to, work my butt off to have great relationships, right? And that's the next, trait that I have discovered is, when I'm reliable, I have stronger relationships. So people can count on me, right? So, my wife, my family, my friends, they can count on me. My boss, whoever it is, they can count on me and know that they can have that trust within me that, if you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it to 100%, right? And that's even with me saying no to, things. If I know that I'm not going to be able to give something 100%, I tell people no, right? And that was something I really struggled with for a long time because I felt like I was letting people down. But little do we think about, the things that we worry about so much. Guess what? The people that you tell no, they probably are going to forget tomorrow. So understand that, right? And next, reliable people have confidence, right? You have confidence that you can say yes and no to things that, people ask you, and, have integrity, right? And have that integrity that, you're going to get a job done. People can trust you, right? Trust is a big thing. So in relationships, to have freedom, if you have trust, if I do really well at my job, guess what? And same thing for you guys. Your boss probably lays off because they know that you're reliable and you're going to get your work done. But the minute you start to slip up, guess what? They're going to be on you because, hey, why aren't you getting your job done? Right? People, I've coached people and, in my positions that I've been in. So, retail, I've been in, direct sales and all kinds of different avenues. I've worked at a gas station. So there's been a lot of, I wouldn't say I've had a lot of jobs, but, uniform delivery and all that stuff. And even seeing people, like my aunt, she's a nurse, and I told you guys about that. So when I look at, my aunts as nurses and, my dad, he's very reliable. I know, I can count on him for anything, right? And it's a trade-off, right? We've got to be reliable for ourselves, but other people have to be reliable for us too. So just know that if you are a reliable person, you're going to have freedom, you're going to have strong and great relationships, and you should have confidence and trust and integrity within yourself. And those are things that are going to help you be a better person, right? So here are some things that you can do to show reliability. Be honest with yourself, right? I had to look at myself and say, hey, can I do this or can I not do it? And as much as I dreaded saying no when I first started to have to say no, I had to push through, and I had to be honest with myself and say, hey, am I going to be able to do this, or is this even something that I want to do? Because if it's something that you don't want to do, guess what? You're probably going to, only put in half effort, and it's not even going to come out good, and then you're going to lose trust with the people that are asking you to do something, right? Now, there are things that there are times where I do say yes to things that I don't want to do, but it's kind of like a trade-off, right? There are trade-offs that I make, right? Is this going to make somebody else feel great? There's certain situations like, with family, you got to go to events and you got to do this and that, right? So there are going to be times where you're going to say yes to things you don't like to do. But what I challenge you guys to do is just to have fun with that situation. Don't look at it as a dread. Just look at it and say, hey, this is going to be a fun situation. I'm going to make the best out of it. I don't really feel up to do it. And a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, guess what? I have a lot of fun doing the thing I didn't want to do in the first place, right? So just be open to that. Next, just set the right expectations. So, if somebody's asking you to do something and it's way above, what you need, what you can do, set the expectations or say, hey, I can do this for you, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So when some people call me, as far as, coaching and things like that, I have to be realistic and say, hey, I've got, X amount of appointments. If I have this amount of appointments, guess what? I can get to you, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? And, set that expectation, kind of one of the things that I've learned and, what I've always lived by is, under promise, over deliver, right? Sometimes there are times where maybe, things, kind of free up and then you can actually do something quicker than somebody asked you to do it, right? So you don't set yourself up for failure. You got to set yourself up for success. So set the right expectations, understand that you can't always do things at people's leisure, right? I would rather lose business and lose, anything, an opportunity by telling the truth and being honest and setting the right expectations than getting business and having a lot of pissed off people, right? Or, upset family or upset friends or whatever, right? So don't be afraid to, set the expectations that, hey, I can do this, but I'll have to do it next week. I can't do it for you today, right? So, and then show up, so that's the next thing. Show up and be the best. When I show up to what I need to do, every day there are times on this podcast where I'm like, man, I haven't been having the best day, but man, I got to show up and be the best for my audience, right? I go through, everyday life trials like you guys do, no matter, whether you think it or not, but I have to show up and be the best. And the way to do that is to enjoy what you do. Right? I enjoy my podcast. I work a full-time job and, I work tons of hours, right? But I know that I enjoy doing this. I enjoy getting in front of people and being able to show people how to find their purpose and passion, right? That's ultimately something that I really enjoy and that I have a great time doing, right? And I know, a couple of people have called me and said, man, I just love your show because I can tell you're passionate about what you're talking about and you care. And the minute that goes away, guess what? People are probably going to tell me, hey, you probably need to, close down shop on this podcast. Because I wouldn't expect people to listen to crap, right? My goal is to show up and be the best I can be for my audience because they didn't create this podcast, I did, right? So same thing for you. And then just know what you're capable of doing. Again, that comes back to kind of being honest with yourself. If you know what you can do and you're capable of doing, then get out there and do it and make a big difference there. So those are some things that I look at as far as being reliable. So reliable people have freedom, strong relationships. You have great confidence within yourself, integrity, honesty, you name it, trustworthiness. That's a great thing to have. So that's what reliable people have. So if you're not reliable now, go back and earn people's trust, right? And just know that you can get over these humps and you don't always have to say yes to everybody. And I know how hard it can be because I used to always hate it, but just know that you can say no. It's okay, right? Just be there, right? And, I think a lot of just being reliable is just being there for other people, right? I think that was something that, when I look at it, if I have any kind of issues, I know that my wife is going to be there for me. She's going to be reliable and, just hear me out, right? And the same thing for her on my end or, my friends or family. Sometimes people just call and want to hear, just want me to hear their story or hear, the issues they're dealing with. I don't necessarily have all the answers. They just want somebody to be there. So I'm there. I'm there for my friends and my family because I care for them and I care about them. Just like my audience, there are people that reach out to me that, have everyday struggles and I love hearing about it because I want to be able to help you guys. So if you guys are afraid to pick up and, message me on social media or, my email, I always throw that out there for you guys, anthonyhester@breathemotivation.com. Feel free to do that, or go to my website and there's a contact us, button and you guys can enter your information and I'll get back to you. Right. But I want you guys to be able to feel confident and feel, I want to be able to be reliable for this audience. Right. My goal is to help you guys find your purpose and passion. And that's what I'm set out to do. So, I feel like this is a good episode. This is really good. Episode 100. 100. Woo! Man, I'm excited about that. So we're going to continue to do this rocket for you guys. I still have my link. I'm going to continue to put that in the description for the review of, the audience survey. So to kind of get to know what the audience likes, what we can change, if there is anything, just put whatever comments you feel like are necessary. Like I said, the only way for me to get better is feedback. So please do that. Continue to review us on iTunes if you listen to us there. And check out my website, breathemotivation.com. I am really working to get that working and looking a little bit better. So that should have some changes in the next couple weeks. So shout out to Sergio for doing that for me. I reached out to him and we're working together to create a great website for you guys too, for more content and all kinds of good stuff. So that's what I got. So let me leave you with this definition. Don't be reliable only when it's convenient. Right? So that's something that, a lot of people struggle with. So don't be reliable only when it's convenient. Just be reliable, be there for people, and they'll be there for you. Right? So as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. I will see you tomorrow on Sunday. Thanks.